So here we have a 95 4-liter. This is out of an XJ, and this one had some issues with it. It had blown head gasket between these two cylinders. You can kind of tell by the powder here that's coolant. That's typically what that looks like. You can also see it in the exhaust ports. So we were trying to figure out what we're going to do with this guy's engine here, and I figured before we put the head gasket on it, throw it back together, let's pull the valves out and see what they look like. So here we have an intake valve and an exhaust. You can see from this little mark here that is where the sealing surface of the valve is. So I got some marking compound and the grinder out and just kind of wanted to see where these valves were at. Now you can see here that that marking compound has left a mark on the outer edge, and that corresponds there. Now that's what you want. You want a good outer edge contact. So pulled this exhaust valve out, and typically this is what they look like after a little bit of grind. You can see there's still pitting in there. But what was interesting was that we're only getting contact on that one side of the seat. So decided to move on to the next one, and sort of the same result, but this one was a little bit different. See, if we take the suction cup here, see that gap? Now that's all the way closed. So that valve is not even seating. If we rotate it around, we can kind of find the sweet spot. So that's closed, rotating. So this valve and seat are actually totally worn out. The guide still feels, it's hard to tell, but the guide still feels pretty good. But so this is after a little bit of grinding. You can see that we got a lot of poo-poo there. So here is the next ones in the series. I haven't popped these out yet. I just used the spring tool to take the springs off. So you can see here, this is what coolant does. It leaves a deposit in there. Also, it makes it, it's like corrosion amplifier. You can see here all of the coolant. Now, see here where there's that compared to this. Well, this is where it was sealing, and this is where it was not. So if we pull this exhaust valve out, that looks like poo-poo. Just kind of wipe this off a little bit here. So see all that pitting there? That's from little chunks of super hot carbon getting stuck in the seat area during combustion. Also, overheating helps compound that problem. Many factors. So just for giggles here, stick this guy in there and give it a spin. See, same sort of deal, but not as pronounced as this one here. I mean, you can, there's a gap there. I mean, that's probably 40 or 50 thousandths right there. That's unusable. So this will cause a misfire. It'll also cause low compression. So at this point, this head is pretty much a paperweight. It's going to need a complete valve job, and that's sort of where, as the end user of the vehicle, you need to decide, what is the cost versus benefit here? Is it worth it just to go buy a reman head and stick it on, or is it worth paying a machine shop? Because a lot of times what will happen is with the 331 heads, for example, you'll get cracking in between these cylinders. So let's look here, for example. See that space in between there? How much space there is there? And then if we come over here and look, see how much space there is in here. There's not a lot of room to machine these out and put new seats in it. There's plenty, but a lot of times what'll happen is they'll find cracks in between here. So buying a reman head that's already rebuilt, that's one way of cost effectiveness versus taking it to a machine shop and spending a bunch of money to find out that you have a cracked head. So this one, we decided that we're just going to use this as a core, because this one has over 200,000 miles on it and it was horribly overheated. We're going to use this as a core, pick up a junkyard motor that has about 130,000 on it. So if you are having misfires you can't figure out, or loss of compression, Probably this.